Good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight with Annabelle Tiffin. Our top story: police searching for missing schoolboy Luke Howe say his body has been found in a river in Greater Manchester. Luke went missing yesterday during freezing temperatures. Also tonight, divisions on the Isle of Man over plans to build the island's first onshore wind farm.
Before you leave the castle forever, please reveal, are you a traitor or are you a faithful?
So tense. The moment this year's supervillain is finally caught out on the Traitors, Paul is in the studio tonight. Marvellous murmurations. The Starlings of Leighton Moss perform their dusk dance.
And the next named storm is Isha, arriving Sunday, and we are looking at some of us in an amber warning. Join me at the end of the programme. I'll give you all the details.
Police searching for a vulnerable 14-year-old boy have found his body in a river at Hale near Altrincham. Tonight they confirmed they're the remains of Luke Howe, a child with learning difficulties who went missing during last night's freezing temperatures. Well, our reporter Richard Stead is in Hale for us this evening. Richard, this is really tragic news for Luke's family, isn't it?
Yes, Annabelle, it was a day which began with extreme concern, but also some hope. But this evening we have had the news that a body has been discovered. 14-year-old Luke Howe went missing from an address behind me on Bank Hall Lane here in Hale last night. The alarm was immediately raised on social media, and that level of urgency was increased because of Luke's learning difficulties. Dozens of people took to the streets in search for him in sub-zero temperatures last night, and the search continued this morning. I saw specialist search teams searching through the River Bollin, wading through the water. More local people came out as they heard the news as well. But we have, as I said, had the sad news that a body has been found not far from where Luke went missing.
And Richard, this is going to be really felt deeply, isn't it, by the community, which really rallied round to help search for Luke?
There was a huge reaction from the local community here in Hale. Scores of people came out to look for him this morning and last night as well. One family member described to me how full of life he was, how full of fun he was, but they also talked about his vulnerability as well. And we have had a statement from Greater Manchester Police this evening as well. Detective Inspector Rick Lees told us, our condolences are with Luke's loved ones, his friends and family, in what is truly an awful time. This is a tragic case of a young teenager who has sadly died in terrible circumstances, and our thoughts remain with Luke's family.
Richard, thanks very much. Now, you're never very far away from a CCTV camera these days because doorbell cameras have been popping up all over the place. They're very useful if you're having something delivered when you're out, but the police are also finding them essential to solving crimes. So essential, in fact, that Lancashire Police has become the first force in the country to set up a special database telling officers where they are. Now they want people to sign up to it, as Phil McCann reports.
On one street in Blackburn last year, this man, Mohammed Khan, murdered a vulnerable 50-year-old man in his own home with a hammer and a pair of scissors. CCTV from people's homes and doorbell cameras was crucial to convicting him. It took a jury less than an hour to decide Mohammed Khan was guilty. But getting that footage can be difficult, and it can take a long time because the police don't know where most of the cameras are.
To get footage from a residential street would require officers going and doing physical house-to-house with a USB stick, collecting the footage. That can cause difficulties if the resident isn't in. We would have to go back again.
Sergeant Barber decided to change things in the middle of the night once when he was trying to get hold of footage from doorbell cameras like these to use as evidence against a suspected burglar.
It was out of frustration that we had a suspect that we detained nearby, and I knew that this case relied on CCTV, and I knew that if I waited for the team in the morning to come and get that footage, there's risk that we're not going to get it, that the suspect would be bailed.
So he came up with this, a map database of where the cameras are and how to contact their owners. It's already operating for shops. This is the middle of Blackpool. Now they've set up a database called Nice to Share for cameras on domestic properties, but they need residents to sign up so their cameras appear on it. and they'd find plenty of them here in Buckshaw Village near Chorley. Video from them is often posted on local social media channels.
They normally post, you know, I do recognise this person, yeah, people comment on there. So.
And does that make you feel more secure?
Yeah, definitely.
They do catch things on if people crash into anything. Like I say, we've never had any issues around here.
Well, there are loads of doorbell cameras on this estate, and the police want to be able to get footage from them as quickly as possible because time is of the essence in an investigation, and because, depending on what your subscription is, you might only be able to get footage from your camera for a matter of days.
Sometimes footage will last for 30 days on someone's machine, sometimes it only lasts for seven days or something like that. The quicker we get that request for you to send in your footage, the more chance we've got of you having that footage to be able to share with us.
Privacy campaigners say these cameras spy on neighbours and are intrusive. Lancashire Police point out they won't be able to watch your footage live or at all without your consent. They say they don't want to spy, they want to solve crimes. Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Lancashire.
Next tonight, the family of a teenager who took her own life in Style prison say her death could have been prevented. An inquest in Warrington concluded that 18-year-old Annalise Sanderson died from suicide. Coroner Victoria Davis noted that there had been failings in her care, but said she felt reassured that the various organisations involved had tightened up existing procedures. Miss Sanderson had a long history of mental health problems and died weeks before she was due to be released. Her family's lawyer read this statement outside Cheshire Coroner's Court.
Her death has been incomprehensible and devastating, and we think it could have been prevented. Over the course of this week, we've seen for ourselves how Annalise was treated in prison. She was just another number to them. She fell through the cracks, despite asking for help from people who should have kept her safe. The past 2 days have been painful and enraging.
People living near a Lancashire landfill site say their lives are again being made a misery by the smell of rotting waste. 6 years ago, a strong odour from the Clayton Hall site led to scores of complaints. Well, now residents in Clayton-le-Woods, Leyland and Buckshaw Village say the problem has returned. The operators say they're storing waste temporarily until the Environment Agency allows them to move it. Now, plans for the first onshore wind farm on the Isle of Man are progressing as part of the Manx government's target to reach net carbon zero by 2050. But some residents have raised concerns about the impact the development would have on their lives, some living just 500 metres from where the turbines would be. Alex Blake reports.
Views like this one are commonplace across the world, the UK and indeed the North West. But for the ancient Celtic Isle in the middle of the Irish Sea, an onshore wind farm is demonstrably absent. Well, while there are currently no plans set in stone, the preferred site here at Erie, Staine and Scards form part of government's overall climate targets to reach net zero by 2050 and an interim target to reach 35% of that by 2030.
I think there's going to have to be the greater good balance that comes into play here, where we say what's for the greater good of the greatest number of people on the island, and almost certainly getting ourselves weaned off fossil fuels is the way that we need to go. We have legal duty to do that under the Climate Change Act, so we're going to have to move down this pathway by one way or another.
With the rugged rural landscape synonymous with the Manx way of life, plans to build up to 5 man-made structures on the southern hillside at Erie, Staine and Scards has been met with opposition from residents.
Ecology doesn't have a voice. I quite often do take these guys in with injuries because their hunting technique is a stoop dive, and generally their injuries are a broken wing. When they're in the thrill of a chase, they can make mistakes, and they do hit infrastructure.
We have many regulars that come here, and they come for their peace and their tranquility, and also the nature. And they've been categorically clear with us that if this project does go ahead, not only will they not come back to being Blossom Farm, they will not come back to the Isle of Man.
The project would include up to 5 turbines, each roughly the height of Blackpool Tower, to deliver 130 gigawatts of energy per year, which is a third of the island's current demand. To put that into context, that's 2 Douglas power stations, the highest structure on the Isle of Man at the moment, and nearly 7 Laxey wheels.
We know that some people will have very strong views in both directions. There will be lots of people who support what we're trying to do, and some people who won't, and that's always going to be the case. But I think what's important is actually listening to those messages and trying our best to deliver a solution which, in the main, is win-win.
There is also long-term financial security. We know exactly what the operational costs of an onshore wind farm are going to be. There is no fuel cost. We don't have the risk of relying on gas markets and that uncertainty. So there's real financial stability in an onshore wind farm.
One thing the island has in abundance is wind, and lawmakers want to harness this natural resource to combat climate change challenges and generate cleaner energy on the Isle of Man. Alex Blake, BBC North West Tonight.
Right, spoiler alert. If you're not up to date with the latest series of BBC One's The Traitors, we're about to talk about the big moment in last night's episode when traitor Paul from Manchester was sent home by fellow traitor Harry. Did not see that one coming. Well, let's see what happened when he was finally banished from the castle.
Before you leave the castle forever, please reveal, are you a traitor or are you a faithful?
I'm a traitor.
I love that. No shame. Paul is here. Really good to see you.
Great to see you.
But everyone was really pleased to see the back of you, weren't they? Look how they were celebrating.
Was so mean by everyone. You could have just kept it in and said, you know, good game, off you go. But no, they were. Someone threw furniture. Furniture was broken last night. I hope they charge him. That's
because nobody thought you were a traitor. Or, well, they were starting to, but people loved you and they couldn't get it in their heads that you were. You played such a good game.
I know. And do you know what? Looking back, it's the best experience I've ever done in my entire life. And everyone, we were a family. It was so intense. And it's a short period of time, but you're all day, every day, just connecting with people. And yeah, I went undetected for a good period of time.
Yes.
But they got me in the end.
Well, I mean, Harry, traitor Harry.
I know.
He basically turned on you. Were you expecting that?
Not one bit. He's in such trouble with me. So I didn't know. And when I was at the round table, I had no idea that it was coming. I had a feeling the faithfuls were going to try and come for me, which I was fine with. But then when Harry did that, I thought, oh, where did that come from? So only watching it back, I finally put the pieces together over how it actually happened. He had no other choice. For the way that everything, he thought I was going for him.
He's playing such a good game now as well, isn't he?
Amazing game.
Yeah. Now, I understand you don't know who's won.
No idea.
Who do you want to win?
Harry has to win.
Yeah.
I think for everything that he's gone through, for the person that he's becoming, he's 22 years of age. He's more mature than I think anybody else in there. And he's flying. He's done so well. There was an inauguration last night. He's now the president of the Faithfuls. So, you know, they're carrying his name high.
They've no idea, have they?
They've no idea, bless them.
Was it fun?
The funnest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
The best way I can say it, it's the extreme of every feeling you can feel. So if you're happy, you're elated. And if you're sad, then you're having a breakdown like I did a couple of times.
Now, somebody in there said, if you're a traitor, you must be the best actor they've ever seen. Because you were sort of playing such a game. You were on the one hand being the loveliest person, everybody loved you, but really you weren't. You were being sneaky.
Sneaky, yeah.
But what is the real you?
Well, this is the real me, I guess. So I put the act on, and going into the show, I thought, I want to be a traitor. You know, that's the way I can only participate in the game fully. I didn't feel like if I was a faithful, I thought if I was a faithful, they're going to get rid of me straight away. So if I do something, I want to commit to it, and I thought I'm going to be the most dastardly traitor out there, and I'm really going to do Claudia proud when she says, are you willing to manipulate and all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to give that a go. And I think Harry was right there with me the whole time as well, so it was great.
You're a good pair. We obviously only see the bits that are put out, but did you all get on generally? I mean, you mentioned that to each other, that you're friends, but we don't really see any of that.
I know, it's so funny. Yeah, I mean, we spend so much time together every single day. We are like a family. You kind of fall in love with these people, and you have kind of like family arguments, and like when someone's getting accused or someone's talking about you, people approach it like Zach did it all the time. You know, he'll be your friend and he'll go, also, I think that you're a traitor though and you're lying to me. And you just think, oh my goodness, it's a magnificent experience. It's nothing like what I thought it would be. No. It was the extremes of everything, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
You know, I'm sure you've heard this, but people are now, they're going, well, how can anybody trust him? You know, what was his wife, family and friends thinking?
Well, I sat watching through with him and they are laughing their heads off. They know me through and through. I was trying to base my character on, like, Jafar out of Aladdin. I just wanted to be this pantomime villain and I'm just going to commit to this role and try my best. And you can see in the show, like, I start deteriorating and bits of me start coming through. And it's funny, the more emotional I got, the more people thought that I was a traitor, maybe. I don't know, but... yeah, I think everyone that I know the real me.
I mean, possibly a new career as an actor.
Who knows, eh? Yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh, Paul, it's great to see you, and I can't wait to watch tonight's episode, and you'll be able to watch it, and you won't be in it for the first time.
I know. I might not watch it.
I bet you do.
I will.
Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, we're moving on to football now, and Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says he's waiting for an assessment on Mo Salah's injury after the striker went off injured playing for Egypt in the Africa Cup of Nations. Salah appeared to be holding his hamstring and was substituted in last night's game against Ghana. But Klopp, who was speaking to the media ahead of his team's Premier League match at Bournemouth on Sunday, says there's no news on the extent of Salah's injury just yet.
I spoke last night with him and how it is with his injuries, we need further assessment. That's what they are doing now, and then we will know more. Of course, it was a shock. We all know how rarely Mo goes off or needs to go off, and so there's definitely something, and we will see.
Everton Fan Advisory Board has sent a 25-page witness statement to the Premier League detailing why they believe supporters should be heard during the appeal process against the club's 10-point deduction. The group is urging the panel to take into account the opinions of fans when lawyers meet in the coming weeks. Warrington's teenage darts sensation Luke Littler has got to the semi-finals of the Bahrain Masters tonight with a 6-3 win over Stockport's Nathan Aspinall. He started with a perfect 9-dart leg. The 16-year-old is playing in the first competition since he was runner-up at the World Championships. Liverpool's two-weight world champion Natasha Jonas says she's very proud to be the first British woman to top a boxing bill in their home city. Natasha is taking on America's Michaela Mayer at the M&S Bank Arena tomorrow night. And as she's been telling Richard Askham, she's determined to rise to what will be a huge occasion.
Natasha, lovely to see you. This is arguably the biggest fight of your career. Look at you. You look as relaxed as ever. What's the secret?
It's just another fight, that's it. You know, I've had over 150 fights, I think, near enough now. So, yeah, it's just another fight. I know the occasion's big. I know what it means. But, you know, in my mind, it's just another fight. Natasha! The first female to be headlining in her own city. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity for young girls behind me to know that, you know, they can have big dreams, that they can come true. Support and you know, the arena and all the sales. We respect all the fans that are coming and, like, yeah, a lot of love shown, as always.
Definitely, just been chatting to a few. They are, particularly the Scousers, so proud of what you've already achieved. What does that mean to you? What does that support mean to you?
It means everything, you know. The people in this community, in this city, are the ones that supported me, celebrated me.
She's someone good to look up to inspire the next generation.
Massive support. She's a popular fighter, and we've travelled all over to watch her fighting.
Do you think she'll do it?
Yeah, I hope so.
What about the mural as well, Natasha? Talking of amazing, that's painted on the side of a house near where you grew up.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I was a little girl walking around with footy kicking it against that wall. She would never have thought, all these years later, that would be up there, you know. And like I said, for the city to recognise and celebrate my achievements is like, it's really, I feel honoured.
How much are you doing all of this, Natasha? I think I know the answer. For your family and your young daughter.
I mean, you know, I walked to that mural and showed my little girl that, and, you know, I was standing there with me nan, and my nan's so proud to have one of her granddaughters on the wall and being celebrated by the city. I always wanted to put my family's name out there in a good way, and I think that I'm doing that and making them all proud.
You really are. Are you confident you're going to win?
Yeah, definitely.
You wouldn't wouldn't bet against her, would you? Now, it's that time of year again when the region is treated to breathtaking displays as thousands of starlings form murmurations at dusk. The swirling aerial performances have been highlights at the RSPB's Leighton Moss Reserve in Lancashire, where up to 100,000 birds have been coming into roost. Juliet Phillips has been along to see them.
This mesmerising murmuration wowed the crowds at Leighton Moss. The dusk time dance, where the starlings dive together, happens just before they roost for the night.
People aren't entirely sure why they murmurate. Quite possibly it's kind of as they wheel around, it's to deter predators, you know, there's lots of them, and I guess if there's lots of eyes they can also see whether predators are around and where they are. Obviously one starling's not watching all the other starlings, so they'll look at all the 7 around them. I guess a bit like us watching cars on the motorway where we're just seeing the ones next to us.
There's never a guarantee a murmuration will happen. Anticipation was building as people gathered.
It's air ballet, isn't it? Wafting around, superb. That's why we stand out here in the freezing cold in the hope that they might turn up tonight.
Oh, it's amazing. the rush of the wings when they come up overhead, it's just indescribable really, isn't it?
And it sort of goes black and it's quite amazing, it's so dramatic.
How are you feeling ahead of it? I mean, I suppose there's no guarantee we'll see it.
No,
but how
absolutely not.
That's part of the thrill of it really, just hoping.
Is this our lucky day?
Yes.
Is this your lucky day?
I hope so.
During a murmuration, the starlings can travel at speeds of around 50 miles per hour, so our cameraman Martin will have to be quick to keep up. He managed it beautifully, of course. The performance was brief but breathtaking.
The shapes they formed, well, the horizon were actually quite good. You got to see quite big groups of them. Other times you just knew there was lots of birds there because they were all spread out. But great to see so many birds. And even some of them were even disappearing down towards Morecambe.
I get palpitations. I'm so excited. I don't know what it is. I just love it. I mean, I love it when they're above you and you can hear the sound and everything. It's lovely.
Juliet Phillips, BBC North West Tonight, Leighton Moss in Lancashire.
It's just stunning, isn't it? Really, really stunning. Now, speaking of stunning, the North West has a rich tapestry of cities, towns and villages, unique places that all tell their own tale, from rural to urban areas, the seaside to mining towns and everything in between. Well, our weather presenter, Kay, is on a mission to shout about all the amazing places that we call home. And she loves her town of Marple, and so she wants to tell us why.
Rolling hills, huge green spaces, friendly locals, 16 canal locks. This is my town, Marple, and I love it. But what makes it so great? To me, it's the people.
Hi, Kay. You all right?
Marple, or Marple, as it was originally written, is a town in Stockport with a rich history that goes back centuries. For a long time, it was believed that Agatha Christie named her famous character Miss Marple after this very train station. She was delayed here once, but it turns out that her actual inspiration came from Marple Hall.
Planting the Colonel's letter on eccentric Mr. Hawes and staging his suicide. Most clever.
At the heart of the town is Market Street.
Been here 15 years.
What's the best bit about Marple?
The community spirit, I'd say. Fantastic local people, greengrocers, fishmongers, 2 butchers, bakery. We've got everything here that old villages like this, towns, whatever you want to call it, is dying breed. So it's what keeps Marple special.
It's also full of brilliant people. One of those is Kevin. He runs the Marple Poppy Appeal and is well known in the town.
Marple is it's like a magnet. If you go away from Marple, it draws you back, and the longer you live here, the more it draws you back. And everybody likes to enjoy Marple. It's a beautiful place to live. I can come out of my house, I can turn left and be in the hills, and right in the countryside, or I can turn right and go down into the towns of, like, say, Stockport or Manchester. And so that's the beauty of it. You're on the edge of everything.
So there's some of the reasons why I love Marple. But I want to hear from you. Why do you love your town? What makes it stand out? What's so special about it? Get in touch, and you never know, you and me could be walking the streets of your town together. We love Marple! I love Marple! So if you would like me to come to a place that you love, then send me an email to k.crewdson@bbc.co.uk. You can see that down below. And hopefully we'll see your neighbourhood on North West Tonight very soon. Now then, to the weather, and there is a lot to tell you on the weather. Today was really the last day of feeling really quite chilly. Good Walker Me sent this picture in this morning on his walk around Chorley, and look at this guy. Cold in the hills in Oldham. Thanks, Heidi, for sending this in. Now, a lot of change on the way. We're turning from cold and frosty to mild, wet and windy. Storm Isha, spelled Aisha, pronounced Isha, is on the way Sunday night, and we've got a lot of warnings to allow for that as well. You can see on the pressure chart, we're getting all these fronts coming our way, then we get the storm coming through on Sunday. The thing to note is the isobars, very windy, and the wind has already started to pick up. We're gusting at the minute for coastal parts about 30 miles per hour. Overnight, a warm front starts to push in. For most of us, bar the Isle of Man, we should be largely dry. Temperatures, well, much more than they have been of late, 3 to 8 degrees. They'll rise during the second half of the night as that warm front starts to push in. Now, as it does, there will be some outbreaks of rain, the heaviest for Cumbria and Lancashire. There will be bits and pieces for Merseyside and Greater Manchester, and even when it dries up, it'll be cloudy and it'll feel damp. Temperatures tomorrow, again, higher than they have been lately. We are looking at around about 7 to 10 degrees on the Isle of Man. Now, there's Storm Isha pushing a way through as we head through Sunday and into Monday. And into next week, little change. It is going to be unsettled. It's going to stay windy. Now, look at this map. It's a mess, isn't it? Amber warning for parts of Cumbria, Lancashire and Merseyside. It's here where we're expecting gusts to peak around 80 miles per hour. With the heaviest rain for Cumbria and Lancashire, because of snow melt, we could get about 100 millimetres of rainfall. All of us are in a yellow warning. Suffice to say, it's going to be an unsettled day on Sunday. The strongest of the winds are expected from 6 p.m. overnight into Monday. Temperatures, though, 11 or 12 degrees. And as we head then through into next week, temperatures are going to pick up. We could get to 14 degrees on Tuesday, after a cooler day on Monday, and any showers on Monday. Could be wintry over the hills.
It's
all
horrible.
of the weather. Keep an eye on the forecast and bear in mind Monday morning travel could be disrupted.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well done for getting through all of that. And thank you very much for watching. Have a very good weekend.
Take care.